There have been a lot of comments and questions about looking at Seesaw activities from the student journal's view, and I wanted to take this time on this video to show it. I want to show assigning it from a teacher's journal, and then this is a student journal, my daughter Sarah, because I'm so fortunate to be able to teach my own children, her activity and how it's going to show in progress and done. And then how to turn it all in. So I'm going to show this. I am showing with drafts and multiple pages. Drafts and multiple pages are two paid versions features, but I will show at the end the workaround if you're using the free version. And many of you might say, well, you can use the sample student. You don't really need to see it from a student's journal. However, with so many of us with hybrid and remote learning right now situations, it's really good to be able to know what the student is seeing from their journal. So I'm going to take this time on this video to do that because I am fortunate enough to teach my child. If you're fortunate enough to teach your child or your child's using Seesaw, you don't need to see this video. You see things from the student journal. But if you don't have that advantage, use this video to help you as a reference. So let's go through the process. This is a teacher view. I'm in the activities tab for a music journal. Over here I have assigned to class schedule because I can schedule them for a future date, especially if you're really that organized. That's awesome and I envy you. And then I can archive them. The archiving helps because if you have a lot of activities, archiving them off the screen of the student's view helps them so it's not so cluttered, and it keeps it for you in the archived folder so that when you want to come back and look at them maybe at progress report time, you'll be able to go back and do that. So that's really very helpful to have these three tabs. All right, so we're in the activities. Let's go into the library. Remember that the community is wonderful because these are activities that are built and field tested by Seesaw ambassadors, and Seesaw ambassadors are usually teachers. So this is great. You can filter it by grade level and by subjects. It has music all by itself, a subject in there. Usually when you do that, you'll get 400 plus activities, and a lot of you have commented that you would like more filtering. They don't have that right now, but you can use the browser's find tool, which Command F for Mac, Control F for PC. So you can do that and then put in like maybe it's note naming or maybe it's pitch exploration. So put in like pitch and see if you can find more activities with that in the title. It's not a cure-all, but it might help. So I'm going to go and assign an activity that has to do with this whole recorder book. And I am going to ignore the directions I placed on the screen, just so you know. So I'm going to take this activity, it's a nice little recorder book, and I'm going to assign it to this grade level. I'm going to edit the students, so it's only the sample student for my demo purposes and Sarah. And assign to class. Great. So it's assigned. Now we're going to go into Sarah's journal. And this is the thing that the sample student lacks is we can't see what it actually looks like from a journal. And this is important to know because you can reference this with your students, especially if you're using Seesaw for Schools or Seesaw Plus. So here we are. Sarah's in her activity journal, and if you notice, she has 3 tabs over here, just like the teacher does, but hers are to do, in progress, that's if she saved something as a draft, paid version, and done. So this is really good to see and know that the students have this because you can reference this to your students. So she's going to do this activity. She goes over here, she's going to go into hot cross buns, take her glow pen, and start writing in the note names. Up, she's run out of time. No worries, she can save as a draft. So she saves it as a draft, and now it says it's visible to you and your teacher. So let's go into the teacher tab and see that. I'm going to go to the class. And you'll notice if she actually had turned it in, I would have a red bar here on the journal. But she didn't turn it in. She saved it as a draft. And it tells me that right here. So I can look in here and see that sample student didn't do anything, but Sarah Burns is in the middle of a draft. I'm not going to disturb her. I can open it, look at her work, and I can actually go in there and edit it. But I'm not going to do that right now. All right, so now look at her bars over here. in progress now has that activity sitting there. Remember, orange, that's in progress. Green is, to do and done. So cool. She has this in progress. She's going to finish the response. So she goes back in, clicks in, takes her glow pen, and writes the note names in for just the top line, even though this is on me. I should have written the entire song. She believes she's done, and she clicks submit. It's now going to the teacher. Notice now it's no longer orange. Now it says waiting for teacher approval, and it's blue. Let's go into the teacher approval. So if I go back to my journal, I now have that red bar. It wasn't there before with her drafts. I go in here, and I see Sarah's response. I see that Sarah didn't do the whole thing. I want to send it back. Wait, I need to tell her to finish the work. How can I do that? Now, if she's face-to-face, I'll probably just send it back and say you need to complete the work. The whole song, please. However, you might be remote with this child or hybrid or something, and it's not something you can tell them face-to-face. What logically you might think is to hit the comment bar and write it in the comments. These bars only appear when the item is approved and on the journal. These will not appear when you send it back. So what can you do? This is what I do. I edit the post. So I'm going to go into her activity, her actual activity that she's working on. And I could leave a comment, but that won't appear on the screen. What will happen is when she comes back to it, this will have a blue rim around it. And she would need to know that something was added there and have to click on it. That's not as in your face as I want it to be. So I'm going to actually do this way. Please write the note names in for the entire song. I'm going to do it that way. All right, and I'm going to move it. I can, of course, change the style on this and have a whole bunch of fun, but what I'm actually just going to do is make it smaller and do that. Now that message is there for her, just in case I can't see her face-to-face or get in touch with her in any other way. I'm going to make sure that I approve that change I made on that. Now, did I just change the sample student? I bet you're wondering that. Well, first of all, I still need to send it back. All I did was change it. I still haven't sent it back. Send back. Now it's there in her journal. But let's answer that question. Did I just mess up the sample student? Well, that direction should be there for all anyways, and I'm really not too concerned. But believe it or not, no. All I did was change Sarah's. If you go to the sample student here, that is not on her activity. So that's pretty cool. When I go into a student's journal, student's activity, it will not change everyone else's activity. I only changed it in Sarah's. So let's go back to Sarah's journal. So she goes back into the activities tab. That was done. Now it's back in progress. So she's like, why? So she finishes it and she goes over here. She clicked finish and, okay. So let's pretend she writes it all in. Okay. So she writes it all in and now she's going to submit it again. You'll notice now it's in her done. It's no longer in progress. It's done. Let's go back to mine. So I go back to mine. The journal says I got another one again. I'm going to click it. There it is. Up, she did well. And I'm going to approve it. I might like it as well and put a comment on it like, great work. Great job, Sarah. Let's do that. Perfect. And post and approve. It's now approved onto her journal. Let's go look at her journal. She now has it approved. On the family account, that now I get a notification saying that I have a new thing that I can look at from Sarah, a new post, and I can go and I can comment if I allow myself to do that. Finally, so that's great. That's how it looks from a student's journal. I think it's really important to know what these things look like from a student's journal. And you'll notice now it goes into done and it's no longer in any of these other boxes. However, if she was in the free version, I would have approved it with the comment, and then she would have gone and copied and edited, and then she would have fixed it. So now the journal would have 2 entries, so the parents would see both. Sometimes it's great to show students' progress. I think there's something very beneficial as a parent to see that from their student, from their child. However, if you're leaving the journal for only wow and showcase stuff, and you're in the free version, copy and edit, let them fix it, and then delete the original post. That works as well. That's your workaround. Finally, if you don't have a child that's using Seesaw, you can ask IT to make you a fake student in your class, not the sample student, a fake student, so that you have access to their journal, the student's journal, so that you can see the student's journal. However, IT might not let you do that, and you have to respect it because IT might only have a certain amount of seats and they pay for that subscription. So you're going to have to be like, okay, that's fine, respect that. So another workaround is to ask your very responsible student to share their screen from their student journal. This will help you when you're trying to work with the hybrid and remote students because they might give you questions that pertain to what they see on their journal, and you need to see that as well. Those are also great arguments for your IT to make you a student in your class. You really want your remote and hybrid students to feel successful. So I hope this helps, and at least you can use it as a reference tool.